never know if it could change your life. Take a chance, you're neither wrong or right. You never know if you don't roll them dice. You better roll them dice. You never know if it'll change your life.
Oh, yeah, of course that's your contention. You're a first-year Strixhaven student. You just got finished reading some Lorehold historian Aramachus, right? Probably you're going to be convinced of that until next month when you get to Kalima. Then you're going to be thinking about how order and chaos aren't opposing forces, but complementary elements of forming a thesis. That's going to last until next year, and then you're going to be regurgitating Velamachus, talking about, chaos inherent in pre-modern warfare and critical oversights and pass racing. Now, I know what you're going to say. Kalima drastically underestimates the impact of social distinctions predicated upon mystical ability. You got that from Telemar, right? Works in Boros District, page 98, right? Yeah, I read that too. Are you going to plagiarize the whole thing for us? You have any thoughts of your own on this matter, or is that your thing? You come to a bar, you read some obscure passage, and then you pretend, you pawn it off on your own idea just to impress some girls, embarrass my friend?
How do you
like them apples, Matt?
Them good berries.
I'm sorry. I'm not sorry.
Goodwill Hunter, man.
Yeah.
I need to cast protection from Goodwill Hunting.
Goodwill, yeah.
Keep you from doing this thing.
Hello, Matt. How's it going?
Hey, Rob. So you're a townie here in Strixhaven, I guess.
We're here at the local
Fire Jolt Cafe.
Fire Jolt Cafe. Thank you. Messed up my entire bit by not remembering the name of the on-campus bar. But yeah, we're talking college. We're talking learning things.
I guess a mage would say, not I got her number, but I got her true name.
Yeah, that's right.
I can contact her with sending anytime I want.
Yeah, we're talking Strixhaven. And this is Dungeon Master of None.
I'm Dungeon Master Matt.
And I'm Dungeon Master Rob. And yeah, this is the college, the learning, this is your all-in-one academy, magical school, magical college, magical boarding school experience. And yeah, we got a lot to talk about because we've discussed the Magical Academy on at least one episode, 2 or 3 possibly, because we talked about, of course, the Adventure Zone graduation arc, which took place in a school, and then we talked about magical schools in general. But Wizards has released a new source book, Strixhaven, a curriculum of chaos, and so here we are talking about it again.
And we're back, and yes, and Gordon Wood and Daniel Vickers, and we're leaving them all behind for
That's right.
Mordenkainen and Tensor and Lorehold College.
That's right. No
historians.
All the old masters, we're moving on from that. That's the kind of thing you can get. You drop a, could get that education with a $1.50 gold pieces in library fees. We're moving on from that. We're doing better. We can aspire to greater heights.
I was expecting somewhere in this book for someone at the College of Quandrex to have like a equation somewhere on a chalkboard for someone to solve, but I didn't find it.
This is funny.
This missed opportunity.
There were a lot of things that I was like, if I were writing an adventure or writing a book about a magical school, that I would have included. But yeah, if there's a floating equation that players have to solve or have the opportunity to solve, that'd be great. Put that in your magical school, something in the hallway for your adventurers to chance upon and potentially show their genius.
Yeah, and this is, I think, a kind of a crazy different book, right? So this is the third official, like, non-PDF supplement we have of a Dungeons & Dragons Magic the Gathering crossover, right? We've looked at the Odysseys, Adventures in Odyssey of Theros.
Mystic Odysseys of Theros? Mystic, right?
Yes,
yeah.
And Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica. And I don't think I'm missing any, right? Those are all the magic ones we've had so far.
And now we've got Strixhaven, a curriculum of chaos.
And this one's like really different in that, Rob, I feel like I saw someone say this, but if this was released in the 80s, this book would be like a box set, like the old Ravenloft we looked at not too long ago, in that there would be a short player's guide, a short introduction to the world, and then like a hardcover adventure and a map. Because it's all of those things, right?
That's absolutely right. There's a lot going on in this book. There's a substantial introduction to the college, to the setting, some character options. Then there's a full adventure, and then there's a map and a bestiary. It's all here. That being said, you couldn't run a game with just this. You would still need the player's guide and the player's handbook and the dungeon master's guide and the monster manual. But just about everything you would need is contained in this here tome, which is different, which is a little interesting. Wizards has done some things like this, but this I think is the most efficient, the most, I think, successful version of it. Everything you really need to run the adventure and all the surrounding information, it's all right here.
Yeah, and I mean it's a different book. We have I guess a lot of Wizards books, a lot of new people brought on as freelance. I think the lead designer Amanda Hammond is, I think we saw her name in Van Richten's, but I know her from Pathfinder stuff, in which she wrote just a ton of Pathfinder stuff, including Ships of the Inner Sea, which was one of my favorite Pathfinder books. Anyway, so we have a lot of new people. Missing in my credits is one of the sensitivity consultants, or the sensitivity consultant.
Yeah, this showed up on Twitter. You may have seen it, but they somehow failed to include this person in the credits, which is
Tanya DePass. Yeah,
a very, very
a lot of
annoying
people also got their books printed upside down, apparently. Mine's right side up.
I have a digital copy, and in my digital
down?
copy, Tanya DePass is listed under the credits. Also, it's right side up because it's, a PDF. But
yeah, so I think what we're saying is if you are considering getting this book, it is very different than the other two Magic the Gathering supplements, which were both slightly shorter, I think, and almost exclusively focused on the world and character options. And in Strixhaven, those take up the first 60 pages, and the next 140, or maybe 120, are a level 1 through 10 adventure. And then we've got a bestiary.
And this is very distinctly based off of the Magic the Gathering setting, and we'll talk about that. But I did feel like this one would be very easy to plop down in any other setting, and it's written that way. There's nothing distinct to MTG that you need to know about or that is essential to Strixhaven. Strixhaven could easily be in Forgotten Realms, or Sigil was one of the suggestions, which I think would be a great place to put Strixhaven if you didn't want to put it in sort of like a MTG setting. That being said, it is very much based off of existing, MTG assets, but this
right. There was some original art. I went through all the Strixhaven art to see. It was like, oh, hey, a lot of the splash pages and a lot of the NPC portraits are new, which I think one of Rob's and Mice complained about the other Magic was like, oh, you didn't commission any new artists? Like, come on, give your artists a bone.
I'm pretty sure Theros had absolutely no new art.
Yeah,
and
zero.
I think Ravnica didn't either. I don't remember exactly, but yeah, this had new art. This felt, here's the thing.
I mean, most of it is from the cards, right?
Yeah.
And that makes sense. The cards are great. The art of cards is amazing.
Yeah. Compared to the others, I will say that this felt much higher effort. And I liked Ravnica and Theros just fine, but this one felt like they put a lot of effort into, all aspects of it, to be quite honest, and it felt like a distinct and worthwhile book rather than semi-lazy, crossover cash grab.
Yeah. Let's then give a I guess, our judgment on this new approach. Did you prefer like this? Okay, you're only getting, really 30 pages about the campus. The rest is just an adventure and, DM and player options. Like, is that better than a larger treatment of the setting?
We can talk about the specifics at the end.
Sure.
But I will say,
thumbs up, thumbs down.
Thumbs up.
Pass, fail.
Two thumbs up, pass with flying colors. To be honest, this delighted me. This really, and I think maybe I'm just the exact right demographic for this. And I did not go in expecting to like this book, and I was delighted by it. I found it.
You didn't even want to review it. You're like, we've done so many of these.
I was pretty burned out, and I'm glad I gave it a chance.
But the fact that it's an adventure, I feel like, breathes new life into it.
Yeah.
The fact that you should get this book if you want a pre-made adventure set in a college, right? Yep. Because everything else is pretty small, right? Not that it's bad or good, we're just saying it's smaller.
And I felt like, and this is how an adventure should, I think, theoretically work, I felt like Strixhaven, the setting, really came to life as I read through it and as I imagined playing in it and running that adventure. So in that respect, I thought that this was really, really solid as a DM. And I don't know when I would ever have the chance to do this, but I would definitely run a game in this setting it with this adventure, and I would change some things, but I really felt like I felt inspired by and interested in what they presented to us here.
Yeah, at the end of the day, for a campaign setting that's not your own, that's kind of all you can ask for, right? Is like, hey, do I feel inspired by this? Are there cool things, ideas, or places to steal?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, with that overall judgment, should we dive into the basics of Strixhaven, life on campus?
Let's talk about what's going on here. Yeah.
I was really hoping for a couple pages that were like one of those brochures that random college will send you when you're in high school after you take the PSAT or something, that has like a diverse range of students, and then you flip through it, it's like...
Yeah, I would have liked something like that, for
Wait,
sure.
Are the only non-white people the same two people used in these photos
in every
over and
single
over
photo?
again?
Yeah. Oh, man.
Sure, I'll head off to you random liberal arts school in Iowa or the Northeast. Why not?
Why not?
Life on campus. It's an academy of mages. It's cosmopolitan. Snarls and Star Arches, Founder Dragons, Archaics, and the Oracle. What do we want to start with on Strixhaven College
It's a
of
university,
Chaos?
and I liked this, and this is an important distinction that I thought was neat and worthwhile. It is not a place to learn magic. It is a place to learn other things whilst using magic. You study history,
Yes.
you study art, you study math, and each of the schools has a focus, and we'll talk about that later. But you are not specifically there to learn spellcraft, right? It's not a wizarding college per se. There are people who just study history, people who just study, the performing arts or whatever. They do it with magic. But this was an interesting distinction for me.
And it does kind of make sense. It's like, a lot of the spells in Dungeons and Dragons would be super useful for learning archaeology or the law or the performing arts, right? This kind of makes sense. And it leaves room for players who are, let's say, don't want to roll up a wizard to play.
Now, this brings us to probably my primary objection and a major, in my opinion, oversight in the book and in the whole setting, which is that if you cannot cast any magic, if you are a pure fighter or rogue or
Barbarian.
A barbarian that's not one of the casty barbarians,
Berserker.
There's nothing here for you. You could, I think, probably be a student, but it really wouldn't make very much sense. This is a setting for magic users.
Yeah, and there's a feat, not to get ahead of ourselves to the player options, that's basically a kind of a good version of Magic Initiate, that ties you to one of the like 5 colleges at Strixhaven. I would just give this to every character, and that way you would never run into the problem of, well, I'm being a fighter that's not an Eldritch Knight. Can I still cast magic? Yes, you can, right? I would give everyone the feat Ritualist, and I would also give everyone the feat Strixhaven Initiate, right? Initiate. Strixhaven Initiative.
There's ways around this,
Fine.
and Matt's suggestion is a good one. There's not really, in my opinion, any downside to giving everybody a
If
little
you're
bit of...
giving it to everyone, fine, perfect.
Yeah. That being said, it does bum me out as somebody who likes to play normies in D&D that if you don't want to be a spellcaster, there's nothing for you to do, or you're severely limited in this campaign. And in this
Yeah, we're again getting to the player options, but one of the things I put down was like, why isn't there a background for like for being what's his name? Goodwill Hunting. William Hunting. Good
William Hunting.
Hunting. Yeah.
Gooding William. No, yeah. Goodwill Hunting.
Sir Good. Yeah, why can't you be him? Like, why can't you be a janitor on campus, right? Or, yeah, that would kind of be a fun foil to the other characters.
Right.
Yeah, okay, I don't have any magic skills, but I do have this ring of keys. Oh, you can cast open lock. I'm an RA. I have the keys. I'm a student maintenance ramp.
Right. Or I'm the groundskeeper or something like that. Or I'm the groundskeeper's assistant. You know, I think that would be very... well, we can get into that later. But, you know, that's not a major problem. If you're going to be playing this, I assume everybody wants to do some kind of magic. And most D&D games, again, the non-magic user character options are dwindling. And that's fine.
Yeah, the thing is, you say everyone, we're giving you these 2 feats and pick a class that does magic. And I think everyone will be okay with that, especially if you're clear at the session 0. This is about going to a school that is has magic everywhere. Everyone's going to be like, yeah, I'll be the Eldritch Knight. Yes, I'll be a druid. Perfect.
It feels to me like, you know, how in old school Spelljammer, it was basically like, if you're a druid, you're a fucking idiot. You know, you can't do druid things in space, you moron. Don't pick a druid as a class. You know, there were some classes that were like, don't play that in this setting. And I guess, freedom lover that I am, I hate being restricted when there are class options that exist. But all of that being said, it's not a huge deal.
Okay, let's talk about the world of Strixhaven, because this is a pseudo campaign setting, more like you can think of this as a detailed single city, because Strixhaven is on the world of Archanos. I forgot what it was actually. We are given no details about this world other than the name of the 2 continents. So,
and it's not might as well. Everything is really about the university and the campus grounds, which I think is good. Let's focus. You know, doesn't really matter. Arcavios, right? It is located on the world of the Archive. Now, they also say, since we gave you no details about the world, put Strixhaven in the Forgotten Realms, or Eberron, or somewhere in the Outer Planes. I would have loved for them to spend like a page or 2 about what Strixhaven's purpose might be in your world or in another world. I think, okay, if you're looking at these options, I think the best one is kind of, because Strixhaven has all kinds of people in it, right? There's Loxodons and Owlin and Bogarts and elves and trolls. I would say works best if this is a extraplanar university, right? I would say Archivios is a demiplane created for Strixhaven by the founder dragons. And if you're a dungeon master considering this, right, this is the idea that, like, how did your players get to Strixhaven? Why are they all students here? I mean, there's like some sort of like extra dimensional summons that the founder dragons have some, you know, arcane ritual for pulling people from across space and time to study at this university. That's what I would do too. I think it works very well. Here's the thing. I think that to run this campaign, it needs to be very narrow, and it needs to basically exist on campus grounds exclusively. Like, you can acknowledge an outside world, but it really shouldn't be somewhere that the players need to or want to go to. It wouldn't be impossible to do so, but the campaign should work pretty well with just sort of a basic acknowledgement of either it's extraplanar or it exists here, and then focus on what's happening at the college. I like Matt's suggestion. I would put it in Sigil or extraplanar somewhere, or
somehow connected to Sigil.
Right,
maybe.
sorry.
There's not really a lot of room.
Couldn't be in Sigil, but
this.
yeah, somehow. Right, somehow related to Sigil, but yeah, a demi-plane created by somebody in Sigil.
And then, what are your thoughts of some of the other world building we're given here? Snarls, like pools of magic, and random star arches, rocks floating in a ring.
Utterly forgettable, though.
There's not much done with them.
Yeah, they're cool ideas. They don't appear to matter very much. So,
we also have the founder dragons, which could be an interesting patron or warlock boon. We have the stats for them, but they define our 5 colleges, right? So in case you're new to this and are curious what's in Strixhaven, Strixhaven is basically a classical kind of university where everyone enters and studies, gets their associate's degree in magical-ish learning, and then after year 1 has to choose one of 5 colleges. And they are Lorehold, a college of archaeology, history, and the past; Prismari, a college of basically performance, art, and creation; Quandrix, a college of nature and math, right? You're finding the golden ratio of the beholder or something.
Right.
And
then the plants have fractal patterns. It's math. The Fibonacci
fractal
sequence.
plants. Yes. And Silver Quill, which is a college of the law, oratory, writing, and like witty rejoinders. And then last, Witherbloom, a college of life and death. And that's it. Those are your 5 colleges. Pick one of those.
Matt, I love these, and I love them probably not for the reason that I'm supposed to love them. The reason why I love these colleges is that these colleges represent opposing colors in the card game, right? Or
blue and red, white and black, for example.
So in trying to pair these colors together as opposites, the writers of and creators of both, basically the people at Wizards, have recreated a number of important philosophical concepts and debates within the Academy. It's very dialectical, Matt. All of these are. It delights me to no end.
Every college has a thesis and antithesis.
It does. That's right. And together they form a synthesis, Matt. That's exactly right. So Lorehold has, basically.
Okay, yeah. We got to talk about Lorehold because it's the history one. We're the history guys. Okay, let's get into Lorehold.
I mean, again, I don't know that, any of the writers picked up a history book or a historiography book.
Almost certainly never.
The one that Matt and I just read. But without doing so, they have sort of recreated the major tension in history or historiography in the past 100 years, which is, sort of a ordered Whig, can you determine the course of events from, historical knowledge versus is it all chaos? Is there any such thing as objectivity? It's
The way they describe order and chaos, I think a historian might describe it as the tension between structure and agency would be the what a historian would say. Are the big forces of history determining lots of things? In what places and times do people have agency over their own life and their own destiny?
And it very much reflects sort of, the changes in the Academy wrought by post-structuralism and postmodernism. It's very shallow. They haven't actually delved into any of these things.
No.
But it's funny to me that they're all right, one side of the Academy believes in, is the course of time driving toward a well-ordered state, and the other believes that there's no order to anything, no meaning, each individual is acting purely on their own, whatever, and it delights me.
Plus, if you go to Lorehold, you also get like a scroll machine gun that shoots magic. Though I don't think there's stats for that anywhere, but it's in one of the arts. It's cool.
Yeah. By the same token, the sort of the Prismari college has recreated the Apollonian Dionysian distinction from Nietzsche.
Yes.
There's a
perfection and expression.
There's like a rational and wise side, and then there's a wild and expressive side. Again, I don't want to like dunk on these people because I'm sure that they're all smart and went to college like I did, but I have a feeling that just in trying to come up with the idea of opposites, they have stumbled upon theses laid out by fine thinkers hundreds of years ago. Anyway, so that's
let's see. Quandrix is like substance and theory, which I mean you could take it a number of different ways, but it could just be like the tension in a physics department between people who run experiments and people who just write equations.
Right.
Well, what if there are
and,
33 dimensions? Like, let's assume that.
That's right. Yeah, people who actually like run physical experiments, people who are purely like doing higher order math. Silver Quill is
maybe not as good. It's like selfishness versus like not.
This one's philosophical and kind of this one's definitely the weakest to me. It's shadow and radiance and like what I guess like it's basically like using their like language skills to like empower people, and then people who use it
or
to like
to be mean
or like gain power. This
not
one
really a academic dispute,
Yeah,
like should you be nice to people or mean to people with your fun writing?
This one could have gone better. I also really liked, and this one's the most straightforward, but I liked sort of the life and death of Witherbloom. I think that's a very like easy. Here are the ways that these two things are interrelated, and your studies, need to incorporate both as the cycle of life and death. This gave me a lot of ideas as a DM, as a player. I think that just sort of. I like these colleges. I think they're fun. I think they present a lot of potentially interesting hooks, intellectual ideas, cool magical opportunities. I'm also a huge fucking nerd, so maybe they're not as delightful to other people, but I liked it.
Well, here's a good thing about the colleges is you could probably take just one of the colleges and plop them down somewhere random. Like if you wanted to have a place, if you're like on your world map at your home campaign, you put a giant desert and you're like, this is where there was once a great civilization. There's all these ruins. At the edge of the desert is Lorehold College, scholars who investigate the ruins, and it might make a cool hub for the players to start with. Conversely, like if you wanted to like plop down Witherbloom somewhere, that would make sense too. Or Lorehold trains all the politicians of your world or something like that. Sorry, not Lorehold, Silverquill.
Silverquill. They also, and this includes, there's not a whole lot here. It's a description of the college and what they study. A list of scholars you might encounter, the sort of main professors, and then a little map. And honestly, this is great. This is really all you need. This gave me more than enough to sort of think about how these would work and work with each other. I wouldn't have hated more, but I wasn't like, I need to know more.
Yeah, here's the thing. A decision was made about this book and that it would be an adventure, and we mostly applaud that decision. However, right, the characters are going to spend their entire 10th level campaign in these 5 colleges and the main campus that kind of is a hub that connects them all. That is actually super boring. There is nothing interesting in the main campus. There's a tavern,
the main campus is literally
a cafe,
it's a liberary,
and a sports stadium.
Yeah.
You could have come up with some other crazy things, especially like a nice tension between townies and university people.
Right,
but
right.
Whatever.
Who lives in the college or in the college town that's not like a member of like who's actually studying there? Yeah.
Right.
I would encourage you to think about this if you're trying to build out this world for your campaign.
There's only 3 pages or so per college, and I feel like they could have gone crazier with the shit that is in the colleges, right? You know, oh, okay, Prismari has a place where everyone put their discarded dangerous art projects. But like that one was cool. But like I don't know, we could have a lot more scary things everywhere. Put more dungeons or places to explore, or just, I mean, these are colleges just full to the brim with magic shit, you know.
Yeah.
Obviously the maps they give you, there's room to like add this stuff. But yeah.
Yeah. I liked what we got. Matt's absolutely correct. I think there was room for more, but it's fine. That decision was made, and some of these locations are elaborated on in the campaign, which is a totally fine way
That's
to do
true.
it.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of sort of empty space here, which is good and bad. It just means that, especially if your players are spending 10 levels here, you're going to have to fill in the blanks. But some people might find that an exciting opportunity. You will have to, though, because there's definitely only a handful of things going on at each college.
Yeah. Here's my ideal what this book would look like is that this section would end with 2 pages on creating your own college. I would love that. Like, why not? Why should you be limited to these 5? If you have a theme you really want to get into, like, you know, okay, come up with attention or come up with a field of study. Here's some tables you can roll on for your own college. I don't know if you have any ideas for colleges, Rob.
Light and dark.
We have that Silver Quill.
Well, you know what I mean, though. Like more of the physical properties of you know, rays of light and actual darkness. You know.
I've got one. I would like a college that's a tension
I would replace
between
with something useful.
Yeah. A tension between a physical life and spiritual life, between the religion of magic, right? In most worlds, there's some kind of god of magic, and divine magic and arcane magic. It's also maybe a tension between you're living a physical life, but we know in Dungeons and Dragons, like in most campaign settings, everyone's like spirit goes to the outer planes. Like, so it would also be a tension between the material world and the extraplanar world. So
like
gods
that, yeah.
versus, you know, mortals kind of thing.
That'd be good.
Because there's, I guess if you're a cleric here, right, there's nothing said about the gods in this campaign setting or how the gods of whatever campaign setting you might interact with this. There's no on the main, campus chapel to Bakob for students to
There
pray
is
at.
a student mages of faith extracurricular club.
Yes, that's true. The student mages of faith.
The Mage Interfaith Alliance.
Right.
But
yeah,
no,
it's
you're
like
right.
the Student Baptist Association or a Hillel or something. It's clever, right? But yeah, I would have liked that, and then there would be maybe a clear definition for clerics here, right? In the fact that not everyone, underlying the tension of the D&D default campaign setting, is there's arcane and divine magic, and those are either basically the same or different depending on your interpretation, and that could be part of that college. Some people at that college believe, basically divine magic, arcane magic, it's the same. We both cast spells. They have verbal and somatic components. And then other people are like, no, they're different. This is why clerics can cure wounds and most wizards can't.
I think the arcane divine distinction would be a great choice for a college. An interesting one. There is less to offer clerics in this setting than other comparable casters.
Right. And we basically get a I think the assumption is, and transitioning to chapter 2 character options, is the designers sort of feel like you probably know what college you want to join if you're doing one of these campaign settings. Though I think it sounds more fun to me if your dungeon master at session 0 encourages people not to have an idea of which college they want to join.
So this was my objection to. Character options are fine, but I object to the Myers-Briggsification of magical schools. I do not like the idea that your personality type, indicates what you're going to be good at and what you know about and what sort of this is Harry Potter. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I think it fundamentally understands how human beings function. So like, I don't think you have to be
not
like a
all
methodical...
physicists are introverts, right? It's like that.
Yes.
These two do not align. I'm sorry.
And you don't have to do this, but there's sections in here about these are some personality traits for Lorehold and some personality traits for Prismari. But like, you could be a curmudgeonly introverted, Prismari student, or a, gregarious and irresponsible Lorehold student. Don't do this. Just have your players decide what they want to study, or give them an opportunity to choose. I agree with Matt. Don't have them come in knowing what college they want to be a part of. Don't do a sorting hat, please.
Yeah, I think the idea is you could have players come in, and then one of the main things about this campaign is it's a lot about the personal, or it has to be successful, personal tensions among the party and within each character. Play that up.
Mm-hmm.
You want characters, oh, well, gosh, I want to study something in the arts, but, maybe I would fit in better with Lorehold, right? In that I'm into art history, and, have them make a tough choice about which college they want to go to.
Mm-hmm. The character options also includes the Owlin, which you've already talked about. They're cool. I like Owlin people.
They now have a full flight from level 1. So, cool.
I'm shrugging, listeners. It's fine. Whatever.
Rob doesn't care. It's fine. It
some people
matter.
feel strongly about this. I don't. Whatever. People can fly. There's some spells, which are neat. There's some feats, which we've already discussed. And some magic items, again, which are...
Right.
All of this is totally fine. Nothing really sprung out for me here.
This is actually the backgrounds, which are for each, again, the ones we talked about. Why isn't there a background for something that is not one of these students? I'll give you, as their feature, extra spells to add to your spell book at all levels, which is typically more useful than the background features of other backgrounds. The other sort of disconnect is if you're playing the campaign starts at first level, where players are first years and are not a member of the college, but the background they're picking tells them they're a member of a college. So, I don't know. A little bit of a disconnect there. Maybe you don't give players backgrounds. They get it when they join the college as a reward for joining the college.
Yeah, you could also just give them these bonus spells as a separate, unrelated benefit, a boon, as it were, for being a part of that college, rather than having it be built into their background.
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't like taking the choice away before the campaign has begun, but we also get 2 new feats, basically a Strixhaven version of the Magic Initiate feat, and one that gets you a Strixhaven mascot as your familiar that anyone can take if they have the Strixhaven Initiate feat. So if you want a familiar as a non-spellcaster, here's a 2 feat way to get that. And then we get some new spells, right? 5 new spells. Basically, 1 for every college.
Right. Okay, so...
Oh, I think I did have something to say about one of the new spells. One of my favorite spell of the new one is, in its description, let's see, borrowed knowledge, right? You you burn a book as part of the casting of the spell.
That's
and
right.
for 1 hour, you have proficiency with a skill.
I liked this one too. Sorry, I didn't mean to skip over them. There's some neat spells here. Nothing especially... Well, actually, that's not true.
But here's the problem with this spell, Rob. It's a 2nd level spell, right? It takes 1 action to cast, and it is touch, so you can cast it... it's self. You can only cast it on yourself, right? And it gives you proficiency bonus, right? At the level you get the spell, that will be 2. Very soon it will be +3 to some ability checks. Now, why would you ever cast that over enhance ability, which gives you advantage on all checks with a ability score, and also lasts the same amount of time. I guess it's concentration. I guess that's the only difference. I guess wizards don't get enhanced ability. Anyway, I was like,
I think it's. I mean, I was gonna say maybe you can't cast. I mean, there's probably some who can cast borrowed knowledge, but not enhanced ability. I don't know if I'm misremembering, but Silvery Barbs is it's a first level, and you can force a reroll as a reaction, and give advantage, which seems very powerful to me.
Yeah.
Force an enemy to reroll an attack roll, an ability check, or a saving throw. I mean, you can only do this so many times a day, but for first level spell, it seems very strong.
I mean, it's basically shield, but for everything, right?
Yeah, it's better than
I mean,
shield.
okay, shield is a +5 bonus. Advantage, giving someone disadvantage is almost equivalent. I think. And in many cases
a
would be
-5, but to everything.
Right. Right. I mean, mathematically, it's tough to describe what advantage is, but I would take this over shield every time, and you can use it on anything, and to buff your allies, right? So there's a lot of things shield doesn't apply to. I mean, God, it's a really good spell.
Silvery Barb seems wildly overtuned, but
for a first level spell,
yeah.
I mean, gosh, this would be. I would take this as a second level spell, and probably even as a third or fourth.
I would.
Spell.
I mean, this is insane. If within 60 feet, any baddie scores a critical hit on you or any of your friends, you can force a reroll.
And they must use the lower result. I was like, that's pretty good, and I might take that. And then they said they must use the lower result. I'm like, well, then it's
really good. And then a free advantage. Anyway, that's fine. Whatever. I have.
You get both? Sorry, I was reading it wrong. I thought you picked one, advantage or disadvantage. No. You get a disadvantage and an advantage.
You force disadvantage and then a free advantage to one of your friends.
Ding, 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 ding. Official time. This is the first, a Dungeon Master None first. This is something I think we can clearly say is truly overpowered. In the past, we've talked about things being underpowered, overtuned. This one just, woof. Boy.
I would love if somebody can tell me why this isn't overpowered, but this is clear to me power creep. Absolutely just unambiguous to me. I wouldn't ban it, and I don't feel super strongly about power creep in general. If you have a power gamer in your group, they are going to find this and they are going to abuse it. So just be aware. All right, let's move on from character options.
Yeah.
So this next section, School is in Session, is about how to run the campaign, and this actually might be my favorite section in the book, actually, because there's just a lot of fun stuff in here. There's
so many good things. The very first page, new art, right, which we love, and it's perfect, encapsulating a crazy group of adventurers showing up at magic school. I love it. I'm immediately hooked in.
Yes. They look like little baby college student adventurers, and
they give the owl big Disney eyes.
Give the owl, the owl's got big old cute little eyes. They're all wide-eyed, and I love it. It immediately sets the tone for the campaign. We'll talk about the campaign in a minute. Let's
talk about the special campaign rules and advice for running a student campaign.
So the special rules for this campaign there's a couple. One is the relationships, which have been, so of course your players can always have relationships, but they've added some math to it for Strixhaven. Yeah. So you choose a friend
Finally, what we've always wanted, math for having a boyfriend, girlfriend, or significant other. Thank you, Wizards.
Thank you, Wizards. Finally, all I have to do is tally up enough relationship points, and I can have a boyfriend. That's all we've ever wanted.
And we're joking, but I do think D&D players finally there's some people out there is like there should be rules for girlfriends.
So, if you ever wanted girlfriend rules, they're in this book. So your players pick a friend, a beloved. I thought it was. Oh, I see. Sorry, I thought it was one of each, but you really just pick one.
Right.
A friend.
Well, you're limited by your proficiency bonus in like close relationships, right?
Right.
So you can't have 30 boyfriends, which I take as an offense, and I will try very hard to have 30
a challenge.
boyfriends. Yeah.
So you pick a friend, a rival, or a beloved, which are exactly what they sound like. And there's rules so these relationships evolve over the course of the campaign, and there's important opportunities to bring in a friend, a beloved, and a rival. And there are rules like this in many other systems. They're not so quantified. They're a lot more like, tell me about your rival, tell me about your friend, or like decide that you have a relationship with somebody else in the group. These are good things to have. D&D should have them. Is this the way I would go about it? Maybe not, but I don't hate the existence of these sort of 3 relationship types and having players choose one at the beginning. I think it's neat and gives a lot of opportunities for emergent gameplay.
Yeah, and we also, in addition to just the NPC stuff rules, we have like, excuse me, like 16 or 18 or something like that. Pretty great, just students you can plop down anywhere, right?
I love all of these students. They are my friends, and I think they're fucking great. Honestly, I realized when I was reading through these students that I think this book probably nails my particular sense of humor and aesthetic, the way that I like to run games, better than any other. Because if I were going to put a bunch of students in a college campaign, many of them would overlap with the ones that Wizards have provided. There's overly serious Chad type guy, and there's
There's a hot Dampier that basically is the mean girl who was she's the girl that all the bad guys want by Bowling for Soup. She's into bands that you haven't heard of, and she's mean to you.
There's a bunch of like
in love with her.
Thirst traps for everybody of all kinds, something for everybody. And there's not there's just like a little bit of on their personality and what they're interested in. And then if you have a good relationship with them, what they do. If you have a bad relationship with them, like how that works out, and it rules. It's great. These are great NPCs. You can pick and choose. This is definitely like the first time I've seen a list of NPCs in Wizards, and I was super excited to actually like use them and put them in the campaign. They have way more personality, in my opinion, than your average NPC list. This was great for me.
Yeah, these were the like best 10 pages of the entire book, in my opinion. I think Rob agrees with me.
Yeah. I also loved that you have to pick like an extracurricular activity. These just, fuck it, this is so funny. There's
you can get a job and extracurriculars, and your players will probably like these, and that's good because they're on the line constantly throughout this campaign.
Yeah. There's there's your standard ones, there's a Dragon Chess Club and a Dragon's Guard Historical Society, but there's also like future entrepreneurs of Strixhaven, which I would immediately fill with the most obnoxious people and have it be a constant like rival annoyance.
Yeah, I'm very inspired by the entrepreneurial troll named Elon Tusk. He's kind of like, I want to be him.
I just want to be like him. There's a very like meta live action role playing guild. There's
Yeah.
a Strixhaven Iron Lifters Society.
I could take or leave that one. I'm like, there's an elf who like loves role playing with bows. I'm like, but elves all know how to use bows. That's in the rule. That's in the rules.
I also liked the student mages of faith, the interfaith alliance, and then you've got to get like a work study program. You've got to either work in the biblioplex or clean up the dormitories or be a barista at the cafe. It's great. I love it.
Yeah. And why I said these are on the line is, fucking up in your studies, kind of just like in real life, means you might have to cut back on extracurriculars or your student job. So your job as the dungeon master is to make these things fun and, make the players like them so that they don't lose them.
There's also rules for studying for and taking exams, which we talked about at length as being a stupid idea. Yeah. I will say that these are pretty okay. And I really like the way that they come into the campaign. And this doesn't have to take up a bunch of time in the game. There's, you study, maybe you cheat, you roll, you get some advantages, and then you get a little bit of a benefit in the future. But it's pretty straightforward, but I like the rules are okay.
I like that. I think, and I haven't, played this or play tested this out, but my initial impression is it should be okay to have one or two members of the party fail each exam, right? Because that creates opportunities that, player characters can get knocked down and then have a chance to get back up again. I mean, the consequence for failing the exam is basically you lose an extracurricular or, you have to go to like tutorials, right? Which is,
right.
As a teacher, I know that for some of my students, that is a fine consequence for exam. And that's good, right? Because, you just want them to learn the thing. But maybe your boyfriend will give you advantage on the check, which is
that's right. Maybe you study with your much smarter girlfriend, and then you do fine.
Or I feel like studying with significant others could often be disadvantage.
That's right.
Right,
if you were going to really lean into this, right, this would be a good reason to encourage your players to like make friends with people who are in different colleges or smarter than them that, can help them study and pass these critical exams. There's a couple every year. And it's impossible for the players to like not advance, but like if they fail, they got to go back for a tutorial and spend some time, and they can't do extracurriculars. I think it's well balanced to like not be a huge pain in the ass, but you could really lean into it for sure.
It might also be fun to have a character who's like, I am going to flunk out, right? Right, and see what happens then, right? If they're like still hanging out on campus, participating in the adventures, that could be fun. Here's two minor critiques that I noticed during the NPC section. Two minor critiques. All right. I love the idea of Strixhaven as the most cosmopolitan place, maybe at the nexus of some planar thing. Mages from all over the multiverse come here to study. And there's tons of NPCs that are Minotaurs and Treants and Dampiers. And races that are not in this book. I feel like if I was a new dungeon master, I would be confused as to where to get these. The two other critiques is that in some of the art, there are people who are not orcs, they are trolls. We know this. I know this because I went back, I looked at the Strixhaven cards. There are some people that their art is used here that are trolls, and there are also other people that are orcs, right? These are two separate things. Trolls are not just orcs that have bigger tusks. So I would love a Strixhaven version of the troll for this book. And there's also some art of Core. I don't know if you remember Core, Rob, from Magic the Gathering. They're like the perfectly like white-skinned, white-haired people with like chin tentacles.
Oh, I do remember. Yes, that's right.
So why did we just get Owlin? I would love those two. And then my other critique here is that I just noticed this on this page where the campaign begins. There's a picture of two important magic NPCs. I think their names are Rowan and Will on page 61. They're like ice and fire mages or something. I don't know. They're from another plane of existence. And I'm like, oh, well, are they, and also like Liliana, who is like one of the big characters in Magic, is a professor here. I don't know. I thought you could have at least had something about those people. Anyway, they decided none of that exists.
I was wondering that about the orc art, because I was like, that seems like not an orc, maybe.
Right. They look like a troll. Like, for example, on page 59, Urzamak Talk Garosh is described as an orc. I looked up the cards, and there are orc cards, right? They've got the tag orc. It's like the Dean of Prismari is, I think, an orc, and it looks like an orc. This card is a troll, right? There's also a troll chef somewhere. I'm like, why can't there be a version of troll from some plane of existence that is appropriate to player power levels, right? Yeah.
I agree.
I just
Playable
feel like
trolls.
there needs to be something somewhere. If you're a new DM and you pick this up because you're like, oh, I definitely want to run a magic school, and there's like Loxodons everywhere and stuff, and you're like, and Damphirs, you're like, where do you get the stats for this? I don't know.
Well, and if like many players, you spent any time in the Blizzard extended universe and played World of Warcraft or Hearthstone or something, you're going to look at that art of...
Yeah, they look like WoW trolls.
They look like WoW trolls, right? Which, doesn't mean they have to be, but you may be confused, and you may be, hang on, is there a troll playable race? And you will find out that no, there isn't, but there are orcs. And there aren't cow people, but there are elephant people.
Right.
It's I don't know. Lean into it. Wizards, just fucking go for it. Give us trolls.
All right. Well, that is the end of all of our NPCs to fall in love with. Here's maybe what we should do, Rob. And we can do one of two things. We can either briefly in 5 minutes talk about the campaign, or we could briefly in 5 minutes talk about the bestiary and say, let's do the campaign as its own episode.
I think we'll have to do the second option. Let's talk about the bestiary, and we can discuss the campaign separately, because I don't know that it deserves, that it needs a whole hour. It needs more than 5 minutes, though. So
I think the campaign deserves an episode, and we will give you one. It's interesting. There's a lot to say about it, so we're going to save it for our next episode, and let's talk about the bestiary, friends and foes.
So this was something I was going to say about the campaign, and I will when we talk about it. But
sure,
one of the great things about, speaking of the bestiary, one of the great things about this setting and this campaign is that you get the opportunity to use a bunch of cool monsters. It makes sense, right? There's magic people, magic things, and so it makes a ton of sense in a way that it maybe doesn't in some other D&D campaigns, to have an Otyugh show up, have a bunch of Bulettes running around, have all kinds of just like all those cool magic creatures that you may or may not get to throw into a campaign, have them show up. And the bestiary includes, I think, some pretty neat options, in my opinion, for sure.
Right. We've got a ton of, it's a mix of, of NPCs that are humanoid with crazy monsters, most of them fairly high level. And then I was getting there, I was like, man, there is not a lot of information about the Auric blood mages, especially the beginning of the book.
That scroll Gatling cannon that you were talking about, I forgot all about that.
Yeah. So cool.
I knew I'd seen it. It fucking rules. There's this dwarf with like clearly like a handheld minigun, and it's like a scroll. It rules.
Yeah.
I'm not clear on what magic item that is, but I want it.
Yeah, I want it too. Got to make a scroll Gatling cannon magic item. There's a lot of information, or there's like some cool monsters of like mage hunters, which I'm like, oh, that's kind of perfect for a magic thing. I think this is something from the magic storyline. Like the campus is attacked by some kind of people who don't like magic or don't like their brand of magic. But
the mage hunters are cool.
they look cool.
They look cool. They're a interesting enemy. Yeah.
I mean, I would like a little more like motivation. Are they all people who got like kicked out? It seems like they have like a founder who was slighted, that they're working out some ancient grudge.
There's
I
this
don't know.
whole, and if you've played Magic, maybe this means more to you, but there's this whole Auric society of mages, which led by Extus Nar, who hates Strixhaven and wants to destroy it, but he's not the villain of the campaign. He's something else entirely, but there's still Auric mages and Auric monsters running around, and you run into these like midway through the campaign, and I was like, I don't know what this is about, but maybe if you know more about Magic, it's more familiar to you. I would have liked more on that for sure.
Yeah. Other than that, you've got some epic founder dragons, which I super like in that if you want, since we just talked about Fizban's Guide to Dragons, if you want some ancient worms that are like super out there and are like, well, this worm has devoted its entire existence into like studying history. Well, here's a cool dragon like that.
Mm-hmm. They're very cool dragons. They've also got super rad art because of course they do.
So that's your bestiary. Most of it is taken from I think all of it is taken from the cards, but it looks cool. I like the mage hunters. I wish I knew how to use them. I like the plant bear. I could take or leave the mascots that you get for each thing. These seem like just a fun little thing they added for the card game that maybe isn't as cool for a role-playing game.
It's neat. It's a good bestiary. Again, everything that they put into this, I guess there could have been more of everything, but I liked what we got.
Okay, well, we're a third of the way through Strixhaven, a curriculum of chaos, and as we said, like it kind of all hinges on the campaign. But stay tuned for the next episode, which will be heavy spoilers for the campaign. I guess our gift to you is that you can listen to this and still run or play the campaign without getting spoiled at all.
No
We've
spoilers
mentioned nothing
about the campaign, which we definitely intended. This is a very interesting book. Like we mentioned, it's different. There's a lot going on. I'm a fan, but as a dungeon master, we'll talk about the campaign in greater detail, but there's a lot to be said about it. So stay tuned for part 2, where we'll talk about the campaign, how to run it, what to do with it, when it's worthwhile. If you have thoughts or comments, if you know something about Magic that we missed that you can tell us about, by all means, let us know.
Yeah, did you read all 8 short stories that came out with this Magic block? Let us know.
Yeah.
We're not going to do that.
We will not. I refuse to learn any additional lore about Strixhaven. I liked what I read. I will not be doing any extracurriculars here, Matt. But yeah, let us know if there's something that you find interesting or that you want us to talk about that we failed to mention. Add us on Twitter at DM of None. You can write us at dmofnone@gmail.com. Check out our Patreon at patreon.com/Dungeon Master of None. We've got a Discord which we'll link to. Anything I'm forgetting, Matt?
No, just think about, who are you? You're terrified of what you might discover. It's your move, Chief.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Stay healthy, stay safe. Keep rolling them dice.